I'm going to get us going. So our symposium is all about how to deal with academic burnout, and our first speaker is Daniel Marguiles, who is from the University of Paris and Oxford University. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's a real treat to be here today, to be able to share with you. It's absolutely terrifying because it's very personal, right? And when I received the email invitation to speak, I was excited by the challenge of it, and I was also delighted by the idea. I think the email articulated, you know, Daniel, you're involved in all these things, and somehow you still managed to show up, to be there. You're clearly not burnt out. Would you come and talk about how to avoid academic burnout? And I thought, I've got him fooled. I can do this. I can go with it, right? And my first thought was really, like maybe there is some sort of success in there in being able to hide the burden. So rather than avoiding it, part of what I'm going to be advocating for is you don't need to avoid it. I mean, it's kind of inevitable in some way, right? You need to figure out tips and tricks for hiding it. And maybe that's the most useful thing I could propose. So I'm Daniel. That's the title. I'll just mention, I mean, I have a lot of disclosures, many of which will probably come out here, but none of them that are relevant to this particular slide. So the email arrived. I agreed to it. I thought it was an exciting challenge. I was kind of delighted initially that maybe I'd actually been hiding this properly. And then I realized as I looked at the email a couple more times in planning for the talk that perhaps there was a hidden message, which is that I'm obviously burnt out and everybody knows it. So I had that moment as well. And as I think you probably have already gathered, the way that I deal with a lot of the stress and anxiety and challenges of our work is through humor. And so what I decided is that I'm going to present some stories today, some little lessons and things that I picked up, some things I've gone through. Part of them are going to be sincere. Part of them might be a little bit funny. I'm not going to tell you in advance which are which. I'll let you decide. That's part of the game, part of the fun here today. There are aspects of this line of work, and I think we all know this, that are really challenging. They really push us to our limit. That's part of why we're in it. You know, a lot of us went for a run yesterday, and part of running, part of that excitement is being able to push yourself to see how far you can go. So I think a lot of the advice that we often get in dealing with burnout is to know your limits, to be aware of them, and that's important, but it's very, very difficult to do. And so in times like this, I'm sure you do what I do, which is you call up your cousin, Andrew, if you have cousin Andrew. Andrew's a therapist. He's my cousin. He looks a lot like me if I looked like Dustin Hoffman. And I called him up and I asked for his advice. I said, look, you know, there's some challenges. I have to do this talk on burnout, and there's just in general some challenges that I'm dealing with administration, which is one of the things that really stresses me out, with a lot of barriers that I'm dealing with and how to kind of overcome that, and just how to deal with the general anxiety and advocating for myself and not letting it overwhelm me, not letting it get in the way of the fun of the work. I said, what advice do you have for when you're kind of looking into that, you're looking into that dark hole and you're feeling it close in on you and you can't really even get the motivation to get back on the keyboard and get to work? What do you do? And so I asked cousin Andrew, and he thought for a minute, and he said, you know, with my patients, he said, the advice I would give them at this point is, you want to find the person that you care most about in the world, the person that really understands who you are, that values your needs and is sensitive to them. And you want to take all that anxiety that you have in you, all of that frustration, and you want to put it onto them. You want to put that weight, you want to layer those bricks onto you. As you're falling into the cavern, you want to stand on their shoulders as you kind of grasp at the edge of it, trying to pull yourself back out. And he said, you know, and if you don't have a person like that in your life, he said, get a pet. Get a pet. So yeah, that was his, oh right, so I don't know that exactly was the message he was going for, but I think you understand a bit about how we offer advice in my family. So I think that reflects it nicely. What I do think is important in the message that he was giving, and something that we don't often talk about, is, of course, we know that we have allies in this world, and they can be personal friends, they can be colleagues. And I know that for me, like many members of this community have been the folks that just make it worthwhile and that are there, that understand, that are able to share, that are able to provide support. I think one of the challenges as well is that not everyone is able to play that role. And it's important to be able to distinguish between the folks that you can rely on, the folks that you can trust, the folks that you can be vulnerable with, and those that it's more of a risk to do that and to be really aware. So finding support in the people around you, knowing who your allies are. Which also leads to kind of the second point that I want to bring up, which is being aware of what you need, right? So the folks around you, I'm sure that the people that care about you, they see when you're stressed. They know what are the things that you can deal with really effectively, what are the things that you just aren't as great at dealing with that add a lot of stress. And even more important than sharing that with them, I think, is being aware of it first and foremost on your own, knowing what pushes you too far. What's a good fit for what your needs are? And so for me personally, something that gives me enormous joy is the community that I get to spend time with, right? It's really this conference, this group of people. I look forward to this week enormously every year. I wouldn't give it up for anything. It's a place where I feel I get to be myself, where I'm appreciated, where my values of community, the people that I care about, I get to share with them. It's an enormous kind of rebooting of my whole system, and all of the frustrations that I deal with throughout the year, all of the weaknesses that I feel I have, they get to be in a sense like remedied and patched over in this week that I get to spend with everyone here. That's important to me. It may not be what's right for you. It may not be the thing that gives you energy. It's what works for me. There are other aspects of our work that are really challenging. And it's not necessarily a great fit, right? Like I find email to be incredibly stress-inducing for me. And so I think like one of the tics, as you're kind of, again, sort of curling under the covers and just trying to avoid all of the stressors that come with our day-to-day work, and email is a frequent one. And I used to say, like, I just don't understand where all these emails are coming from and why they're all being sent to me. And so this is one of my practical tips and tricks that I've worked on throughout the years and really tried to refine, is how to optimize your email response delay, or EDR for short, that I'm sure some of you are familiar with. We can't all be, I'm not going to say any names. I think we all know these wonderful people, these incredible people in our community who are able, like 30 seconds, you'll get a response, right? I'm just not one of those people. And the problem with that, it just promotes self-promote. You build up it just gets bigger. So I like to shoot for an optimized response delay of around 3 to 6 months, where I feel that if you can hit that window just right, whatever the ask was is already irrelevant. But at the same time, you're showing that you care. And if you do happen to miss that window and are staying up late at night worrying about all those emails that just didn't happen, I would call your attention to a really wonderful international initiative called Email Amnesty Day. And I believe it's around January 31st. And are folks familiar with Email Amnesty Day? It's worth looking up. It's an opportunity once a year to send a reply to an email that's just been itching at the back, that's really been keeping you up at night. And you get this one day a year where you send a link to explain Email Amnesty Day and a reply directly to the email saying, sorry for the delay, but I'm allowed to reply today without any repercussions. And that's a way out. Personally, also, the conference is a critical moment for me every year where I build up these things that I feel I've let people down on, and coming and seeing folks in person, and being able to look them in the eyes and genuinely apologize for the screw-ups is absolutely critical. It is a reboot. It's a real catharsis for me every year having this. So like another just general tip for avoiding burnout is to avoid, just in general, try and avoid any pandemics is a good move. It does tend to get in the way of that face-to-face contact that's so critical. Yes. I did have know where you're at. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to tell one more. So it's really, right, so the first point was about the social element and knowing who your allies are. My second point that I want to say, it's really important to know what is the things that you care about, what are the things that cause you stress, and more than talking about it, more than other people really know yourself and know what your limits are. And again, I said, like, limits is probably not the right word there, but know the things that sort of bring you joy and make it fun and worthwhile, and know the things that bring you stress. We can't avoid the things that bring us stress, but we can try and balance it as much as possible. So that's my sincere point there. I promised I wouldn't be clear about which was which, I'm sorry. So the last story that I'm going to tell in the last couple of minutes, which is, folks who know me, I was this close to not being in the field. And it was because back when my first research, as a research assistant, I was in a lab. I'm not going to mention which, I'm not going to mention the PI either, for obvious reasons. But it was a very stressful moment. This was back around 2015-16, and it was a very stressful moment in the lab. A lot was changing very quickly. People were coming in and out. We were changing research directions. There was a lot of uncertainty, and we were all kind of running around trying to do too many things at the same time. And we had a person leading the lab who was also struggling with things and was putting a lot on us, I felt. And I was doing some task. I was running around town. I think I had to deliver a package or something like that. And I get a phone call asking me to do one more thing that day. And it was one of those Motorola flip phones. And I put it to my ear, and I'm just about to tell the person in very colorful language where they can take that package and put it. And all of a sudden, the battery dies on the phone. And I am so grateful that because like a string of expletives had already started at that point, right? And the phone died. And it was just enough time to be able to calm down, to, here we go, realize like what I needed in that situation, and to figure out the way to articulate it to the right person who was able to hear that and make those changes with me. I wasn't complaining to we were all complaining to each other at the time, right? But I was able to take a few minutes, walk back to the office, talk to this person directly, and I honestly think, had that battery worked, things would have been said that couldn't be taken back. I'm so grateful that I was able to have that time to be able to reflect. So like knowing the things you can control and then finding the people that can help you to affect that change is so critical. And it's such a challenge. And the reason I had to go back to 2005 to tell this story just now is because I don't know that I've as effectively dealt with a situation in that way since then, right? It is such a challenging thing to do. A little bit tongue-in-cheek there, but I think you get the point, which is that it's really critical to recognize what you can control and to be able to go to the people that can help you to do that. Easier said than done, I know. Okay, so in just like the last couple of minutes to summarize, right, knowing your allies, knowing what are the things that bring you joy, the things that are challenging, not avoiding the things that are challenging, but at least finding the right balance so that you're there for when the stressors arrive, you're able to deal with them. And then knowing what you can control. And just to give like one final example for those who've been following some of the things happening at the conference this year, like one thing that I cannot control, that I've had to come to accept that I cannot control, is I can't control my height, right? It is what it is. Oh, right. Sorry, I have to, right. So, but I can't control my height, but I can control how long my lanyard is, right? That's something that can be modified. So, I mean, I could, like, as I was thinking about how to wrap up the talk today and this final theme that's so important to me, it just seems so naturally aligned with one of the, if you also would like to take charge of something that you can control, because you can't control your height either, really. You can control your lanyard length. Come down to the student postdoc table next to registration and get your lanyard length altered. We can make it longer, we can make it shorter. You'll be taking charge of something you can control, and you'll be giving me and my people purpose there. So equitable lanyard alterations, that is my only disclosure. And thank you, looking forward to the discussion.